Hello everyone, so we're 2 days past the trade deadline. The Pittsburgh Penguins played on Wednesday night, and they lost 2 games in a row in regulation for the first time since earlier this season. The game before that, they had lost for the first time in 65 games when leading after 2 periods. They lost to Dallas and gave up a lead. Not a very good start to go into the home stretch of the season, but they're very injured. Their defense is broken right now. And then the game on Wednesday, Scott Darling just stood on his head, pulled the Carey Price, and was absolutely outstanding. Patty Kane lit the Penguins up. I see he's been doing a lot lately, and that's all she wrote. And the Penguins will be getting Mark Streit in the lineup tonight in his debut, which seems weird. Ron Hainsey will be back in the lineup, and Dumoulin will be paired with Justin Schultz. I really like that pairing. Justin Schultz is the closest to Chris Letang, who's Dumoulin's regular partner. His apartment, Chris Letang. I like that partnership together. Not sure why Pouliot's not playing, but I've given up on ever expecting him to play again, so that's fine. And Hainsey and Straight is intriguing, but also a little scary because they're both old. What's my verdict of the trades? Yes, so Penguins made some trades. They got Ron Hainsey before that a week ago from Carolina to shore up the defense, especially now since everyone is injured. And then they pulled off a couple of 11th hour trades on the actual trade deadline itself, as Jimmy R loves to do. And first of all, they traded Eric Fehr and Steve Oleski to Toronto for Frankie Corrado and a 4th round pick to Toronto for Frankie Corrado. Corrado's in a similar situation to Justin Schultz. He was not playing. He was just sitting there like Pouliot. He'd fallen out of favor with Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock refused to play him. And, of course, when he did play, he didn't play well because he didn't have confidence. He had to clear waivers. He sent down to the Marlies, started to play really well, started getting his confidence back. And then the Penguins traded for him. So he's going to start down in Wilkes-Barre, or hopefully he can regain his confidence. But I think the Penguins do want to see him at the NHL level. His contract's up this year, but I think if they like what they see, they'll re-sign him. And who knows, he can be another reclamation project. We saw what the Penguins did with Hagelin and with Justin Schultz. It's worked out quite well. They both really thrived in Pittsburgh. I think that Corrado can be a new reclamation project for them. And it gives the Penguins another NHL caliber defenseman that they have in the arsenal. And then with the young defenseman who's cheap because they traded away most of their young D-men. And now that Lukas Magnuson is out for the season in Wilkes, it gives Wilkes-Barre another D-man to work with. And I think he'll fit in really nice in the system. He's more suited to Sullivan's system. I don't understand Mike Babcock. Being in Toronto has made him do weird things. His Leafs curse is rubbed off on him. But it was a great trade for the Penguins, and they give it Eric Fehr. So it was kind of a one-sided deal. Because Eric Fehr is, he was falling out of favor in Sullivan. He didn't fit into the system. He's old. He's slow. Makes $2 million, which is kind of a lot for a fourth liner. The Penguins were able to clear some space, whereas the Leafs have oodles of space due to their LTIR and Robida Island designation. So the reason why the Leafs didn't pick him up on waivers, which Eric Fehr was on waivers the day before, is because they're at the 50 contract limit, so they had to give up a contract in order to get him. So that is why they gave him Corrado. They don't have the contract anymore. They got Fehr, now they're back at 50. But Eric Fehr, I don't know what the Leafs are going to use him for. I don't know where he's going to fit in there. But a lot of people have said that it gives them an option that they can expose him and they can protect someone else in the draft. But I guess from a Leafs standpoint, he gives them another winner in the room, another experienced veteran with Brian Boyle. Even if he doesn't play a lot, he didn't play last game, but it gives them potentially a guy that can use at center, a guy who's won before, won the cup, and knows how to get to the next level, which is what the Leafs are trying to do with their young team. So I'm still not quite sure from their standpoint, but it's great for the Penguins because now they can feel the cheap, younger fourth line of, well, right now it's Kuhnhackl, Cullen, and Wilson. But then when Russ comes back, then, you could do like Kuhnhackl, Cullen, Rust, or Rust, Wilson, Cullen, whatever. I personally think Kuhnhackl's a bit more upside than Wilson. He's faster, and I like what he brings to the team more. But you can interchange him, and that's a lot cheaper and a lot faster and quicker, more depth than having Eric Fehr there. That KFC line was good. He did his job. He was serviceable. But there are better options now, especially that Scott Wilson's emerged and has become an option on that line. The second trade that the Penguins made was acquiring Mark Streit, who had just been traded to Tampa an hour earlier from Philly for a fourth-round pick. So basically, they got a free defenseman, and I thought he was old and not great, but according to Advanced Metric, he's still got a lot left in the tank, despite being an old guy. And he can do well on a bottom pairing, maybe a sheltered pairing, but he's still generates shots really well and moves quite well for an old guy. Maybe he's good on the power play, kind of like an Andre Markov situation in Montreal. So, I mean, that wouldn't hurt. And he's also in the last year's deal, so he won't be signed. He's a rental, and it was a heck of a job by Jimmy R pulling off those last-minute moves. Just some tweaks because the Penguins' blue line has been absolutely decimated, and this gives the Penguins about 10 NHL-ready defensemen when everyone gets back. So you got Letang, Dumoulin, Mata, Daly, Cole, and Schultz. These are just the guys they played recently. And then you have Hainsey and Streit that you can use. And then if you want for the playoffs, you can call up Corrado and Pouliot. And then that'll give you 10 NHL at least caliber defensemen, probably 8 that you'll have regularly. And then, it'll be interesting to see who's scratched and who's healthy. Hainsey's looked good. I've been impressed with him. He's older, so he's not the fleetest of foot, which is why I'm a little bit worried playing with an older guy in Mark Streit. But Mark Streit can move the puck better than Hainsey, so that will probably cancel him out. But I think if you put him in a sheltered role, that'll be good. That'll be good. Matt is out for the year. Daly's out for the year until playoffs, and they have not had good seasons. So I don't know if I'd even played them in playoffs. And then you have Dumoulin and Letang, who've been really solid, and Schultz, who's been outstanding, and Cole, who's really surprised me. So it's a pretty solid defense. It's not flashy. It's not like a Washington-type defense, but, it'll get the job done. And the best part about that Streit trade was that Philadelphia retained 4.7% of his salary. I know, weird. And then sent him to Tampa. And then Tampa traded him to Pittsburgh for the pick. And in return, retained 50% of the remaining salary that Philly didn't retain. And then Pittsburgh gets the rest. So Pittsburgh's only paying about 45.5% of his salary. You have Tampa paying him the most, which he's only on their team for like an hour. And then you have Philly paying him 4.7%. And Tampa traded Fopula to Philly in order to get Streit. So it's kind of a crazy little three-way trade that Yzerman helped orchestrate, helped save the Penguins some cap room, helped Tampa clear a cap off their books and save them some cap room, and help Philly also get a player for trying to make the playoffs and save some cap room in return, because his contract is $5 million, which is a lot, and the Penguins are paying him about $1 million of that, way less than that, which is $1.7 million or something like that, which is pretty nice. There's another game tonight against Streit's former team for 45 minutes in Tampa Bay, and that's a team that's really turned it on lately. They're in a dogfight to make that play again in that filed wild card position in the Atlantic, and that division is wide open. I mean, the Metro's pretty locked down, but the Atlantic is wide open, and that's an excellent team. We saw how fun that series was last year, except it's not going to be Murray versus Vasilevsky. It looks like it's going to be Murray versus Peter Budaj, who Tampa just also acquired in a trade for Ben Bishop. So that'll be an interesting combination. I definitely think Pittsburgh has the edge of that one. In terms of goaltending, but Tampa's offense has looked dynamic lately. Kucherov is going to be super hard to stop. So Johnny D, Drouin has also really stepped it up. So that should be a really exciting game. And I'm curious to see how the defense looks when everyone is back and healthy, how the lines look when everyone's back and healthy, because Rust is still out. Letang is out again for the 4th time this season, and he finished playing a game after being out. Gunnar Stahl on Twitter, Ryan Wilson, has a really great article about how it's been a really bad habit of the doctors to have players finish a game and then miss extended periods of time due to injury. And this has been going on for a long time. You'd think that the doctors would have learned after the Crosby debacle, after the Mumps debacle, but they haven't. And I don't know what the Penguins doctors are doing, but it's not a good look. It's really not a good look. And this is his 4th time with major injury. And, he's by far the most important player. And whenever he doesn't play, the Penguins defense really struggles. So I think that those trades by Jimmy R was excellent, giving them some insurance on D and giving them some options, because the Penguins have given up a lot of shots lately, even with Letang, but without him, it's a lot more. It's not pretty. So I really am worried about the team trainers, and I think that the Penguins should take a good hard look at them, because they always have the most injuries every year, and their players always seem to be injured for a long time, and it's a bit of a scary trend. So I you know I hope that it's just me, but I think that there's definitely something more to that. But in other good news, Sheary is back tonight. So that's exciting. I definitely thought he'd be out longer term. I thought he was supposed to be out about 6 weeks. I think it's only been like 4. I mean, it was 4 to 6, but usually I go on the harder side of those things. And he'll be reunited with Crosby, which would be fun, because I've really missed him on Crosby's line. As good as Gensel's looked, I've really missed Sheary. And I think a line of Sheary, Crosby, and Gensel in the future will be really fun, but we're not there yet. And then he's staying with Chris Kunitz. I personally like Sheary, Crosby, and Horny better. I think that's a really fun line. I think Horny's better with him, and Kunitz is better with Malkin, but Kunitz has been Crosby's garbage man for years. So, let him have his fun. He's going to retire soon anyways. And then you have Malkin with the 2 Swedes, Hagelin and Hornquist, which just worked well. And then Gensel drops down to the 3rd line, but that's with Kessel and Bonino. And I think that him and Kessel could be a lot of fun together. Bonino's a bit slower, but I think that Gensel and Kessel could have some real good chemistry. But I would like to see him reunited with Crosby in the future. And then you have the 4th line of Cullen, Wilson, and Kuhnhackl, which is, as I said earlier, fast, defensively responsible, not flashy, gets the job done, some competent bums, and you got the old guy, the dad, surrounded by the 2 young, cheap guys on the wing there, who've been solid additions for the Penguins this season. And then in defense, there's, like I said, Dumoulin with Schultz, and then Hainsey and Strader together, and Cole is with Rudewall, the AHL call-up, which, again, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not quite sure why you don't put him with Pooley out there, especially if Sullivan wants to do a flashy with a more two-way defenseman, which is what he seems to be doing. I don't know. I don't really get that. But anyways, I've given up on Pooley ever playing again. So that's all I have for this video. Please like if you like. Subscribe if you really like it. Share with all your friends. Tell everyone. I hope you have a great weekend. Did you hear Ed Sheeran's new album? I did. It's amazing. He's won 2017. Anyways, okay. Bye for now.